Greetings, good evening, all. We will get started with the show in approximately 2 minutes. Thank you for tuning in. I didn't say that part. All right. We are at the top of the hour. This is Unsolicited Genius, the podcast show. If you are new to the show, never have been with us live, this is in essence a live recording. If you are new to the show, you may not know that behind me there is a super producer that goes by the name of Joe Diddy. So what he does is take the live episodes, cleans it up, all my flub of flubs, straightens them out, adds in some content from his creativity, some content from our sponsors, republishes on YouTube and everywhere that your podcasts are found. So you can see us live here every Wednesday at this time, or wait till we release it on the podcast and you can listen to it in your automobile, at your workplace, during your workout, et cetera, et cetera. I ain't gonna tell you how to consume your content, but this is Unsolicited Genius, the podcast show. And we will get started. Let me get a drink. We will get started in 3, 2, 1. Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to Unsolicited Genius. I am your curator, Carlton Ennis. On today's show, we will talk about the House Speaker getting the boot, football pride, and Diddy's love. We hope to give you something to ponder. So before getting into the show, I like to ask what's on your mind. If you're watching live, watching later, throw it in the comments. What's on my mind at this moment is Jimmy Butler's hair. Why do so many people care? It's different. It ain't my look. It's not the look that I would rock. When I close my eyes and think about my favorite athlete, his hairstyle is different. MJ was bald. Prime Time for a little while had a Jerry curl. Then he faded it up. I can't say that Emmitt Smith's haircut ever stood out. Barry Sanders, Lawrence Taylor, but I get it. I am of the perspective that Jimmy Butler is probably trolling a little bit. I do not know him personally. I'm inclined to think that he does not care what we think about his hair. But for those who are disrupted, made uncomfortable, seeing him to be unfit for your child to be a fan of, what he eat don't make you poop. And if your child comes to you and says, "Parent, I want my hair to look like Jimmy Butler's," the opportunity isn't for Jimmy to do different. The opportunity is for you to have a heartfelt conversation with your child about self-expression from a place of love and not judgment and condemnation. But that's what I think. Moving on to headlines. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has been given the boot. The first in U.S. history. Ousted by Matt Gaetz, the leader of the Hard Right 8. Now, Gaetz, who himself is not without his own controversies in the realm of playing for pleasure and underage interactions. I don't know what's true. I do know that is the cloud that hovers over his head. Gaetz and crew ousted the speaker for working with Democrats to pass a government funding stopgap bill, preventing a partial shutdown of the federal government. Gaetz is a Trump ally, and McCarthy blames Trump for inciting the January 6th insurrections. So in translating why Gaetz and crew wanted McCarthy out, I say it's because he was trying to make the government function, which does not seem to be our politicians' top priority. You have some smoking and feeling during theater performances. You have some fussing and fighting and taking photographs with firearms for likes, but keeping the government from shutting down, making the government functional, doing for the people is not necessarily everybody's top priority. And if Kevin McCarthy was attempting to do that, there is a group that found fault with him for that. Now, this historical ousting, I am of two perspectives, which to know me, to love me, to be frustrated by me is often how I think. Two sides, at least two sides to every story, most stories. My first perspective is that of the chickens will continuously come home to roost. Why do I say that? On September 9th, 2009, during a nationally televised joint address to Congress by President Barack Obama, Joe Wilson shouted, "You lie!" as Obama attempted to outline his healthcare reform plan. Mind you, the healthcare reform plan that gives entrepreneurs like myself health insurance. I believe when the powers that be allowed that to occur, did not chastise, did not punish, did not resolve that behavior is not appropriate for the leaders of the United States of America. When that did not occur, all it did was further perpetuate, allow space for this misbehavior in the personalities and persons of our government. Which transfers forward to Lauren Boebert getting felt up watching the kids show. You know, who amongst us don't like a movie theater feel, dark just you and your boo. But we grown. It was crowded. It's people around. But this is who our government is. And so whether or not McCarthy was the right man for the job, whether or not McCarthy was doing a good job, whether or not McCarthy had the best interests at heart of me and my family, he was the speaker. He was working with the government. He was working with the other side, the Democrats, to make the government function. He called Trump out for his misbehavior. But you did it to yourself. The chaos that is the United States government has, and may still possess opportunity to stop the shenanigans. But as long as we have politicians that are insistent on prioritizing re-election, power, and money, and do what they do for the likes, chaos will ensue. Now, to talk judgment and condemnation and these other terms, I try to infuse empathy where I can. If a judge be followed with empathy, maybe I can replace the judgment with empathy. Maybe I can replace my position with a vantage point of love. Not saying McCarthy shouldn't be gone. We'll talk about that on a different time, different podcast show. But what I also see, where I do offer empathy from what I also see is a man trying to do his job and being unfairly treated. Because at the end of the day, Gates and Elite Eight didn't want McCarthy in the job to begin with. They made him agree to things that he more than likely wasn't going to live up to or work toward or make happen in his position as Speaker of the House. So it was only a matter of time. They didn't need much, give him a reason. But to have been in a job where I have been underappreciated, to be in a job where I've had this shadow unfairly cast upon me, to work for people where I've given them my best, given them all that I have, and then be told I'm not good enough, that sucks. Doesn't make it true. I've always been good at what I do. But if somebody is of the mindset, holds on to the perception that they're not going to like it, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, then what can you do? So Kevin McCarthy held on. He gave it a good showing, I think give or take 9 months, but he is out of a job. He said he's going to run he's going to try again. I don't know how all that works. I don't know why he would want to, but hey, maybe he has a cause that he truly believes in. But at the end of the day, the United States of America's government is still in dysfunction, it's still in chaos, and it's still not prioritizing its people. Question to the people: how much longer are we going to continue to let them do it? On that, we'll take a break and be right back. Like I said, live recording. Thank you for joining. I am about to conduct a wardrobe change. We are back in 3, 2, 1. What in the sports quiet as it's kept, I do watch baseball. I can't tell you no names. I can't tell you where anybody went to college, but I will watch a baseball game. And I am a Miami Marlins fan, similar to the Heat. I was there when they were born. Went to games with my dad. Marlins, I got some love for them. So, that being said, shout out to all the baseball teams that made the playoffs. Atlanta Braves, Los Angeles Dodgers, Baltimore Orioles, Tampa Bay Rays, Houston Astros, Milwaukee Brewers, Texas Rangers, Philadelphia Phillies, Minnesota Twins, Toronto Blue Jays, Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Miami Marlins. Shout out to y'all for making your fans proud. Marlins in particular, kept up with them all year. Started high, they hit some low lows. I thought they was done. But in the month of September, they went 17-9, gave it a push, and they made the playoffs. Now, as I speak, 2 of the 12 teams I named are out. The Marlins, as I speak, look like they might be on their way out. Can't win them all. Shout out to the Miami Marlins, them other fish. Well, dolphins are mammals. They're not really fish. They fishy, but they're not fish. The Miami Marlins, shout out to making me proud, showing the fight and fortitude to make the Major League playoffs. Now, how about them Giants? My team stinks. They play I play a brand new. I had a conversation with a fellow sports fan yesterday, and he said to me, that is not professional football. That is not the NFL, what they did on Monday night. 11 sacks. 11 sacks in one game. They don't have that on the season. The Giants, I don't think they double-digit sacks yet. Definitely not double-digit turnovers. Although they are giving up double-digit turnovers, double-digit points off of turnovers, all this stuff. We give it up. We ain't getting none of it. So they've done it before. They have done it again. Through the first quarter of the season, we are through. Nothing to hope for, nothing to cheer about. I'm not a tanker. I don't condone tanking. So it's not even a guarantee that we're going to get the number 1 draft pick. I still want to beat the Cowboys. I still want to beat the Eagles. And that might be enough. Because the Raiders don't look great. The Carolina Panthers don't look great. The New York Jets are suffering. And the Cincinnati Bengals don't make sense. So, Caleb Williams, I see you. I don't know if we're coming for you yet. But to my Giants, I will always be a fan, even if I'm not a fan of you in particular, offensive line, defensive line, special team. Failures on every part. Daniel Jones, you will always have a place in my heart because you are our quarterback. But when will you decide that enough is enough? Can't throw the red zone interception. You got to give your team a chance. You got to give your team some hope. And I know it's hard on you. I cannot imagine what it feels like to be sacked 11 times. I cannot imagine what it felt like in the beatdown by the Cowboys. The 49ers front defensive line. I don't know what it feels like having them coming at you. But it's the NFL. It's what you sign up for. So, the thing that comes to me as a youth when I played football, before, the coaches got into talent and who did what and who played what and whether or not you were or were not the star of the show, they taught us pride. They taught us pride. They taught us, this is your home field, you defend it. When you go on the road, you tighten up and you take it. But in every game, you give your heart. You play with pride. Now, to a person, I don't know any of the New York Giants players. Through 6 degrees of separation, I may be connected to them all. But I can't speak to what flows through any man's veins. But I know what it looked like. It don't look like pride players. It do not look like pride. Coach Dabo, look, it's your second year. I get it. You got Coach of the Year last year. Hey, clap, clap. If I coulda, woulda, I did vote for you. But you got your job in front of you now. You know what it is. You got a culture change. You got to change the culture because some shenanigans on the field. To my Giants fans that were in the stadium for those shenanigans, I'm sorry. I was in the comfort of my home. I saw your faces. I saw your expressions. We are in solidarity in our feelings for our team. And I move on. Bills beat the Dolphins, clap, clap. Patriots struggling. Belichick, maybe you're not that man. Maybe he needed Brady. Me and Uncle Mo will debate that later. New York Jets, I'm sorry. Y'all play hard. Y'all are trying. A-Rod, gone. Not your fault. AFC North, Ravens, Steelers, Browns, it's going to be competitive. Have no idea what's wrong with the Bengals. Is it Burrow's health? Is it a calf? Is it something else? Have they been figured out? I am of the mindset the NFL is the smartest league in American professional sports. So if you have a weakness, if there is something to be figured out on how to defeat you, the NFL is going to do it. The AFC South, everybody 2-2, is going to be interesting. Shout out to Rand. Kansas City Chiefs, it's theirs to lose, I think. At least in the AFC. In the AFC, it's there to lose. In the NFC, the Eagles 4-0. I don't like it, but it is what it is. And they don't play perfect ball, but they find a way to win. We don't talk about the Cowboys. The Commanders are better than the Giants at the very least. The Detroit Lions doing their thing. Packers trying to rise above Aaron Rodgers. I think they did I saw a segment, 2 quarterbacks for 30 years. So I can't imagine what that's like to be a Packer fan. And when you lose a quarterback, New York Giants, multiple quarterbacks. So interesting dynamic at play. Is Jordan Love that guy for the next 15 years? I can't say that he's not. Shout out to Baker Mayfield, one of Austin's finest. Keep doing your thing. 49ers 4-0. Seattle Seahawks are not for joke. A lot of football to still be played. A lot of football still to be played. We have just completed the first 4 games of the NFL season. So clap, clap if your team look like they play with pride. Speaking of pride, Prime's team showed up down the stretch. I was distracted by my Florida Gators of shenanigans, so I didn't see very much of Colorado's games this time. But they played with pride. And they played against the New York Giants' future quarterback. I digress. Notre Dame in out, but they truly do stress their fans. Georgia is vulnerable, which I like in general. I don't know what the Gators going to do when that time comes. But Georgia looks vulnerable. The University of Texas Longhorns might be real. They just might be real. But we will confirm this weekend in the Red River Robbery. Oklahoma coming with it. They undefeated too. That will be a good game. And on the low, I'm cheering for Washington, the Huskies. I like the quarterback. I like the brand of football they play. They play a little bit later so I can watch them after the other games that have gone off. But we're going to learn about them too when they match it up against Colorado's bubble busters, the Oregon's Mighty Ducks. So, NFL, full steam ahead. College football, full steam ahead. A lot of good sports to be played. Looking forward to watching other people's teams be successful. Because my teams have decided that success is not their jam this season. Except for the Marlins. At least through tonight. They down 3-0 against Philly on the road. Top of the fifth. They got to rally. They've done it before. Philly's giving them trouble in the season. The opposite, a shout out to my Philly friends that are fans. I love y'all, but I dislike your teams. So take that for what it's worth. But thank you, Marlins, for playing with pride. Are you entertained? What have you been listening to? I alluded to Diddy last week. I really listened to Diddy some more this week. The Love album, Off the Grid. For those in search of good R&B that you can boogie to, get romantic to, Diddy did it. And he did it the usual Diddy way. He engaged a list of artists, a list. And each artist in the Diddy way is able to showcase what did he do? That don't make no sense. I just said it to say it. But they get to showcase their talents. They get to show who they are, how they are. You got The Weeknd, you got Busta Rhymes, you got rappers, you got other R&B singers, and the tunes, the rhythms, the beats, they all come together to make one solid album. And he gave us a B-side. In the days of records, the days of CDs, tapes, there was the A side and the B side. We didn't just play everything straight through. And in the R&B heyday, the A side was the songs that you might be able to tap dance to. They had a little beat, they had a little rhythm. The B side was what we used to refer to as the R. Kelly bump and grind side. We don't do that. The B side is the side where the romance settled, where you dim the lights, flick a candle. So when you out on your date, when you go out, you play the A side, get the energy up, go out, have fun. On your way back home, you play the B side to set the mood before you get into the room. And Diddy did that. So R&B fans, you're looking for some love, you're looking for some rhythm, check out the Love album, Off the Grid by P. Diddy. What you been watching? I watched Asteroid City, the movie. Weird. It was weird, but it was good. It was cute. It was entertaining. and I appreciate the theme around processing grief, theme around managing trouble in your life. And they had a phrase that stood out. You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. What that means to me is in our journeys, in our life experiences, things are going to happen. Things that we don't like. Things that our inherent nature will be to resist. But in order to work through those challenges, to overcome those obstacles, sometimes you got to embrace it. If you're grieving, let the tears flow. If you're hurt, acknowledge it. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to run from it. When you take it on, when you allow it to flow, you can then release it and be better for it. You can wake up from the unfortunate dream. What you read? As you all know, I am in a book club, AHA Book Club. Shout out, love y'all. We met yesterday. We are reading Anxious People by Frederick Backman. And as the title states, it's a book about anxious people, told in a very creative, entertaining, emotional, fictional story. What I'm ascertaining as we go through the book, I think we read up to page 130 next week, so we might be halfway through it by next week. But, well, no, not even halfway. We got a ways to go. I'll keep reporting. But what I am ascertaining is that we all have anxieties. We can fight it, we can deny it, we can try to run from it, but there are things that make us anxious. And in those anxious feelings, there are deeper, more complex, anxious thoughts. Not to change that, not that you shouldn't be experiencing that. I think my takeaway thus far is in understanding that, offer a little more grace. Everybody dealing with something. Everybody is dealing with something. So in that, I'm dealing with something, you dealing with something, he dealing with something, she dealing with something, they dealing with something, Joe Diddy dealing with something, Uncle Mo dealing with something, with Craig, everybody dealing with something. So as you encounter people dealing with something, you got room in you to give them some grace. And I say, I can at least try. And on that, we'll take a break and be right back. Coming back in 3, 2, 1. Wrapping up the show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow wherever we are. We're on YouTube. Oh, and share. Like, subscribe, follow, and share. I need to update my notes. Like, subscribe, follow, and share. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple, Facebook, TikTok. Like, subscribe, follow, and share. Shout out to super producer Joe Nitty. Thank you for making me look better. My mom and dad did their best, but you took it to another level. Very much appreciated. Thank you to our sponsors, Legacy Wear, your legacy awaits. You can find them at www.legacywearus.com. Mega Core CBD, broad spectrum hemp derived CBD, the way nature intended. You can find out more about them and how they do what they do at www.megacorecbd.com. Aura Rainwater, hydrate and elevate. Thank you, Aura, for what you do. You can find out more about them and their special product at www.aurarainwater.com, AURA rainwater.com. And me, Carlton Ennis. I am a personal professional life coach. You can find out more about me and how I do what I do and what I might be able to do for you at www.carltonINNISSCO, Carlton Ennis Company.com, www.carltonennisco.com. Special shout out to Lyrios Pediatrics and the Black Men's Health Clinic, two separate organizations that in my nonprofit time I offer my thoughts and support to, both here in the Austin area, trying to do good in the healthcare space for our community. Lyrios Pediatrics is for the uninsured, underserved children that need their health tended to. Shout out to Dr. Claire Hebner. And the Black Men's Health Clinic is attempting to improve the health of Black men from top to bottom, inside and out. They have coaches for you mentally, emotionally. They have programs for you to garner support for what you're going through. And they have doctors that will help you heal whatever it is that is afflicting you. Come as you are, with insurance, without insurance, a little bit of insurance. You don't even know what insurance is. The Black Man's Clinic is for you. Thank you, Dr. Larry Wallace. Keep doing what you do. So before we get out of here, what is today's Thoughts of Genius? And I decided to read one of my daily devotionals. And it's from a few days, some days ago. It's not today, but in the space of grace, in the space of mercy, let me talk about it. Jesus is passionate about justice and righteousness while simultaneously fervent about grace and mercy. To be clear, grace and mercy, while similar, are not the same. Grace is getting what you don't deserve, such as an unwarranted gift. Mercy is not getting what you deserve. You've done wrong, but judgment is not passed upon you. And while it is easier said than done, we are asked to be merciful. When you've been wrong, when you've been talked about, when they clown you, Jimmy Butler, for your hair. It may not feel good. It may not be natural, but it is what we are called to do. I will gander that each of us in some stage or phase of our life have been shown mercy. I know I have. That one time the assistant principal caught me in the blah, blah, blah. He ain't do nothing. I didn't get in trouble. Didn't call no parent. Didn't write no referral. Didn't send me to nobody's office. He said, "Get out of here, boy. Go to class." He showed me mercy. As I encounter people, places, and things that totally disagree with me, whether in what they say and what they do, whether it's how they do what they do, I try to give them space. I try to be a voice of reason, a voice of consideration, a person of empathy versus a person of judgment and wrath. There's a place and space for that. Kevin McCarthy. Maybe that's what he got. Donald Trump. He got, at last count, it was 80. It's 90-something today, and he's facing fraud. Judgment will be placed upon him now in front of our eyes, and between here and where he goes after this life. I'm not saying where he's going. I'm just saying there's a conversation he will be having, as will we all. So as we go about our days, as we go about our encounters, be kind. Seek justice. When there's a wrong, there's a wrong. Seek it. But understand, we all have been beneficiaries of somebody's mercy. Join us next week, same Genius time, same Genius channel. This is Unsolicited Genius, and for whenever you are, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.